He goes out the back door, and as he walks out the back door, he feels something reach down and touch his hair. He looks up, and on the roof hanging down is the goblin, and it touches his head.
Hello and welcome to Sincerely Supernatural, the show where we talk about the strange, mysterious, and unexplained. I am your host, Hudson.
I'm your other host, Seth.
And today,
we've got a good story. This one was actually requested by someone on Facebook or Instagram.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I remember hearing this story when I was a little kid because I used to read, paranormal type books. And I never delved into it as far as I did.
This one's kind of...
it's crazy.
You could make like a horror movie out of this one.
I am actually kind of surprised that they didn't make a horror movie out of it. But they have based, video game characters off of...
Have they really?
Yeah.
Like, not just like a documentary of like a true story. Like, you could make this like a cinematic, almost like action horror movie.
Did they?
I don't know, but somebody needs to.
I think they kind of did.
With the amount of, I don't want to spoil it, but the amount of high adrenaline action that goes on in this story, it's like, man, you could turn this into something really cool.
I think that they did base a movie off of it.
Oh, really?
And we will talk about that. Well, They stole parts of it.
Okay.
But let's set the scene for people. Let's say that you and your siblings and a couple friends go to your mom's house in the country for a nice meal one night. And your friend goes outside into the backyard and he sees this strange UFO thing shoot across the sky, and then land off the property somewhere. And you run inside and you tell everybody, and they're like, you're crazy. You saw a meteor. Well, after a little while, you hear your dog just going nuts outside.
Yeah.
And you don't know why. So you and your buddy go out there and you see this strange glow in the trees. And pretty soon, the glow starts coming towards you, and you realize this is some sort of being that's glowing. And then it starts coming toward you. What do you do?
Well, it just sounds like a normal Saturday night.
This happens all the time.
Living up in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. Like literally, what would you do? Would you stand there and look at it? Would you take off running?
Depends how close it is, what it looks like.
It's getting closer.
Can I even see what it looks like?
Sure. It's scary looking.
Go get some firepower.
There you go. That's what they did. Today we're going to be talking about the Hopkinsville Goblins. But first, if you like this content, take a millisecond to hit the like and subscribe button. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to go over there, make it a trifecta. Do all three, rate and review. It helps us out a ton. Thank you very much. Let's get into the Hopkinsville Goblins. Okay, the year was 1955.
Okay.
August 21st, and we're in Kentucky. Hopkinsville is a town, or it's a city by a town called Kelly, Kentucky, in Christian County, Kentucky. And there's this farmhouse, and this family is going to have a dinner that night. And the mother's name is Glennie Lankford.
Okay.
And her son, Lucky, and her other son, JC, and then a couple friends. I think one guy's name was Billy Ray Taylor. And the boys had wives, the friends had wives, And I think there was another guy named O.P. Baker that was there.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So all in all, there was 11 people at this house, and they were going to have dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is 1955 in rural Kentucky. I don't think this house had running water. It had a well in the back.
Okay.
But I do believe they had electricity. Anyway, at about 7 p.m., Billy Ray goes outside to get a drink of water before dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And when he walks outside, he sees an egg-shaped, he called it an egg-shaped wash tub engulfed in fire, shoot across the sky in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it left, he said the exhaust was all the colors of the rainbow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So streaks across the sky. And I think he said that it stopped and then landed in a ravine or like a wooded ravine off the property.
Okay.
So he goes running inside and tells everybody. And they're like, no, you just saw a meteor. It wasn't a UFO or something like that. Well, not too long later, I think it was like 45 minutes, the dog in the backyard starts going berserk. So Lucky and Billy Ray decide to go outside and see what it is. The dog is so scared that it went under the house and is hiding. Well, they're out there looking around, and it's like twilight, getting, it's dusky.
Yeah.
And they see this glow in the woods in the direction of where this object landed. And the glow is making its way through the woods towards them. And as they're watching, emerging from the trees is a humanoid form that is glowing.
Okay.
They described it as probably a little over 3 feet tall, so maybe around, at the highest, 4 feet tall.
Very short.
Very short. Small legs with no knees.
No knees.
No knees.
So it's just like a straight
leg. Like they said, it walked weird because it didn't have knees. Big chest. Like I think Glennie, the mother, later on described it as being like a 5-gallon gas can with 2 little legs coming off of it. Big head with big eyes that were kind of oriented on the side of its head, like at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And big floppy ears. Its arms hung down almost to the ground, and it had claws. And it was glowing.
Yeah.
Well, it starts walking towards them and puts its hands up like this, like it was getting robbed. They freaked out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they run back inside. One of them grabs a 20-gauge shotgun. One of them grabs a .22 rifle. And guess what they did?
start shooting.
They started shooting. Yeah. They shoot it, and they said when they would shoot it, it sounded like they were shooting a metal can. And instead of just like hitting the ground dead, it does a backwards somersault and takes off into the trees using its hands as its primary mode of transportation.
Yeah, when it's going faster.
Running, I guess, kind of like an ape.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have knees.
Because of the yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it had elbows, so it was able to run faster on its hands.
So they're a little bit freaked out. They run inside, and I think at this point they're like, get the kids in the bedroom and put them under the bed. So the 3 kids are shuttled to the bedroom and shoved under the bed for safety. And they're kind of in the house, like waiting for what's next. The stinking thing pops its head up in the living room window and starts looking in.
Yeah.
So guess what they did?
Did they shoot through the window?
They shot it. They shot it again through the window. Bing, bing. They hear the metal. It falls down, disappears. Lucky, I believe. No, it was Billy Ray. He was like, I'm going to go out and check. Like, we hit it. It must be dead. I'm going to go check. He goes out the back door. And as he walks out the back door, he feels something reach down and touch his hair. He looks up, and on the roof hanging down is the goblin. And it touches his head.
His head. Oh my gosh.
Lucky jumps out the door, and he shoots it off the roof. I think he had the shotgun. I'm not sure. Boom! Shoots it. It rolls, goes away. They're still outside, and it comes around the corner of the house directly in front of Lucky. He shoots it again, and again it disappears and runs. Well, they go back in the house, and this type of thing happens over and over for 3 to 4 hours. They're not quite certain how long it took place.
They keep popping up and they keep shooting them.
Yes.
Just over and over again.
Now, during this time, you would think there must be like 12 goblins in the forest, and they just are coming from different directions. They never saw more than one at a time.
Oh, really?
So it's possible this was one creature or maybe two.
Maybe two. Okay.
This little war has been going on for 3 to 4 hours, and they are over it. They get the kids and they run to the car, and they both, like, I think they took 2 cars, took it to the police station. They arrive at the police station, I think around 11 p.m. and they're hysterical. Like, the cops were like, we definitely have to go check this out.
Yeah.
One of the cops there was trained in medical stuff, like a medic, I guess. He took the pulse of Billy Ray, I believe, and his pulse sitting there was 140 beats per minute.
Really?
So they were obviously extremely distraught.
Even after driving all the way to the police station and
your heartbeat's not going 140 BPM when you've been riding in a car.
Yeah.
Unless something extremely horrifying is
traumatized.
Yeah. So the cops are like, we need a bigger force. So they get cops, law enforcement from around the county and stuff. They also get 4 MPs from a local military base, military policemen. 16 in total head out to this property. In addition to that, somehow, I don't know how, a reporter goes with them, a photographer and his wife, and two people from the community who heard about it.
Yeah.
They all come out there. So there's like 20 people there that weren't there before. They get out there and the cops start canvassing the property. The family won't go in the house until it's cleared. The cops go in and they clear it. Nobody finds anything.
Really?
They don't find anything. There were a couple maybe things that they found. One guy found a spot in the field where the grass was illuminated, but you could only see it illuminated if you looked at it from a certain angle.
What?
And then another cop thought he saw a green glow.
Okay.
Out in the forest.
Okay.
But nothing verified. No tracks. They did, however, find spent shell casings all around the property and a spot where they had damaged the window trim by shooting through the window. So, I mean, there's a tiny bit of evidence. The cops were out there until 2 a.m. So they looked around for hours.
Yeah.
They left and they were like, we're going to get sleep. We'll come back in the morning. So the family's like, okay, all we need to do, it's 2 a.m, 2:15 in the morning. We just need to all go to bed, try to get through, get some sleep. We'll deal with this in the morning. Well, they all go to bed. But guess what?
Does it come back?
Came back.
I didn't know it came back.
It came back.
After the cops had already been there.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me.
Guess how it came back? This is so flippin' creepy.
Like crawled through their window or something?
No. That's very interesting. These things never tried to gain entry into the house.
Really?
They would only look through the window. They never spoke. They never made any noises. They just raised their hands and walked toward them or peeked through the window.
They were never, they never did anything threatening.
No, never aggressive.
And I'm not saying that oh my gosh, they shouldn't have shot him. Like, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
If I saw a monster.
Yeah.
Trying to get or looking into my house.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, and I'm sure we'll talk about this after the whole story's done, but
yeah,
it's just weird.
It is.
I was just looking.
Well, here's how it came back. 3:30 in the morning, so like a little over an hour after going to bed, Glennie wakes up. She looks out the window, and guess what's looking back at her?
The goblin?
The goblin is looking through her window with its claws up on the window like this. And she's like, I'm dreaming. So she turns over, closes her eyes, rolls back over. She's not dreaming. It's still there. So she quietly calls out to the family. Lucky comes in and he's like, I am going to kill this little guy. He says something like that. Shoots at it through the window again. I don't know how many times.
All their windows are gone.
This kept happening. It would pop up over here. It would pop up over there. They would shoot it. It would leave. It would come back. All of this happened till almost 5 in the morning. When morning broke and the police came back, again, they never found anything. They checked the roof for footprints, which I don't know how you check a roof for footprints. Maybe scratches or something like that.
Maybe there was a bunch of dirt on there.
Maybe.
From trees or all the leaves.
Yeah.
Needles. I don't know.
They don't know if anyone ever checked the purported crash site where it landed, but nothing was ever found as evidence that this happened except for extremely distraught family members, shell casings, and a bullet hole or two in the walls or the window trim. Word got out. And people back then were extremely into aliens and stuff. You had War of the Worlds with Orson Welles. You had the Roswell crash was in 1947. It was just like the beginning of this space invader type
UFO
of mentality.
Craze,
yeah. We had the Flatwoods Monster that happened 4 years earlier in West Virginia, right? People were super interested, and they started visiting the farm in the thousands, I guess.
Oh, really?
And it got to be really bad because people would just have a picnic on their property.
Private property?
People would just walk into their house.
Are you kidding me?
No. And they didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
They didn't want the fame.
It's their house.
Yeah. And if you got that many guns laying around, if someone walks into your house and you don't know them, I mean, how stupid and irresponsible is that? Well, they got really tired of it. They would call the police and try to have people removed that were coming onto the property and everything. They decided, well, you know what we'll do? We'll charge admission if people want to come here. Just as a way to kind of maybe deter or to make money off of it. And that soured everyone's view of this wasn't real. This was a hoax because now they're just trying to make
money off of it. Yeah.
But they were actually just really mad and didn't want people coming on their property anymore. They eventually sold it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to deal with it anymore. Never saw the goblin again. Crazy, crazy story. The Langfords, Suttons, these people were very trustworthy people.
Yeah.
Especially Glennie. She was very soft-spoken, very matter-of-fact. Their stories, when interviewed separately, jived, although some of them remembered what the creatures looked like a little bit differently. Some people said that it had a nose, and some people said it didn't. But we're going to throw a picture up of the actual drawing that was commissioned of these. There's a couple different ones.
Yeah.
They were trustworthy people. And they never, I don't think, even though they charged admission, they never made any money off of it. And they wanted to be left alone. So it begs the question, was this real? Did this really happen? And I think for me personally, I think it did.
Yeah, it sounds like they didn't want this to really get out. If it was like they were reaching out to reporters and then people come to their house and they're like, oh, you have to pay to get in.
Right.
That would be a different story. But it sounds like they just didn't want people on their property.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. So
like they didn't personally contact reporters. The reporters found out and it just got out. Mm-hmm. Before, when I said I think they did make a movie about this, I think that movie is Signs by M. Night Shyamalan.
You think he was inspired by it?
I think he was. I mean, I think he took a mishmash of a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But in the movie Signs, they're on a farm, a rural farm. Their dogs, remember? The dogs could tell that these entities, these beings were there, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
The dogs went berserk. Their dog went berserk.
It was on the roof.
It was on the roof of the barn. Mm-hmm. This was on the roof of their house. Mm-hmm. It had long claws. Signs, it had long claws.
Yeah.
So I think, in a way, they did make a movie about the goblins.
It's a good movie too.
It is. It's one of my favorites.
We've talked about it on this podcast before, but I don't know if it was just because I was younger when I like first watched it. But it's so creepy and not like a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. There's one shot where like he looks out his window and you like see just like a silhouette of something standing on the roof, and it's like
they look out to the barn and there's that alien standing on the top, and it's like,
oh my gosh.
Mel Gibson's like,
and like he looks back and it's gone.
Yeah. Very Hopkinsville Goblin-ish.
Yeah.
Except in that they were like really tall aliens in that one. But yeah, I think that they borrowed, or when they made that movie, they borrowed a lot of stuff that happened at Hopkinsville for that.
Yeah.
And it makes me think a lot about these different crazy sightings that people have, like the Flatwoods Monster, where it floated and had an Ace of Spades cloak and big eyes. Do you notice, no matter what, they usually always have really big eyes?
Yeah.
That's strange. I just realized that. No matter whatever else features may change, they usually have little or no nose and big eyes.
Yeah. It's always the eyes. Like
Barney Hill said.
Oh, yeah.
It's the eyes. Yeah. It's always the eyes.
Yeah. Didn't you say it was something about a video game too?
Yes. There was a video game on Super Nintendo, and I can't remember the name of it. I will link it in the show notes.
I've got to know now.
Oh, but they also think that the movie Gremlins was based off of the Hopkinsville Goblin.
Because I've seen the illustration of the
the Hobgoblin.
Hopkinsville Goblin. And I think it let me look something up.
While you're looking that up, there's a detail I forgot.
Okay.
Go
ahead, sorry.
When Lucky and Billy Ray were in the backyard shooting goblins everywhere, goblin over here, goblin over there, boom, boom, boom. One was in a tree at one point, and when they shot it out of the tree, it didn't fall and smack the ground. They said it floated to the ground. So there's that floating thing again, just like the Flatwoods Monster.
That's weird. This is a Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. That was the other thing.
Sableye.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
That was another one. That is based off of
the Hopkinsville based Goblin. Off of it?
Yeah.
I saw the picture of it, and it reminded me of something, and then it just clicked that I'd seen this before.
Yeah. It's that, and there is a Super Nintendo game, which I will figure out what it was.
Like they confirmed that design was...
I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Just like the Flatwoods Monster is in like Fallout and what was it? The other Nintendo game?
Majora's Mask, Zelda.
Yeah.
There was like a bunch of old games. I have a video recreation of what happened.
You do?
Yeah. That I want to show you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We'll throw it up on the screen.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Joyeux
Oh my gosh. Is that from Community?
That's from Community.
And what was it called?
Knee-high mischief.
Yeah.
It was
But isn't it like Brazilian or something?
It was the Portuguese gremlins.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Can we show that without copyright?
If we can show that, this was a joke. That's not an actual video representation. But in the show Community, they're going to watch a movie it's the Portuguese version of Gremlins. And the whole skit's really good, but at the very end, the guy's like, "Do these things have any weakness?" And then the old priest guy's like, "Me." And then he just starts shooting them. So
I think
it reminded me of that.
We will play that while we're talking about this because if it's commentary, it's fair use.
Yeah.
So I would like to illustrate. That's really funny that you put that on there.
When I had heard about this story and them shooting goblins, that was like the first thing I thought of. But
wouldn't it make a good movie though? Like, if you went with that almost goofy Army of Darkness vibe,
really,
where you were like,
I was thinking like
attacked by the goblins.
You go straight horror movie. You'd have to pick one avenue and go with it. But I think you could do multiple things with it. If you did go the horror movie route, you'd definitely have to take some creative liberties to make it a little creepier. Because in real life, the goblin didn't really do anything but look.
Yeah,
but still.
That was the thing. One of the things that Glennie said, she said, actually, I think that they were trying to communicate because they were never aggressive and never trying to get into the house.
It's so weird. When they shot them, they said it sounded like hitting metal.
Yes.
Hitting metal. They never seemed injured.
No.
It's almost like the only thing that affected them was like the kinetic energy of the bullet.
Yeah.
Like blowing them back.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because when they went inside the house, they turned on the porch lights or something. They would avoid the light. They, for some reason, wouldn't go into the porch light. The other interesting thing, they appeared to be bulletproof. So they were, a lot of people did investigations on this over the years. And this one dude, he had it all figured out. They weren't seeing a goblin.
Yeah.
They weren't seeing an alien. They weren't seeing a cryptid.
Okay.
They were seeing great horned owls.
It's always
they were
freaking.
Bird. Yeah, it's always an owl.
Always a bird. Whether it's Mothman or the Flatwoods Monster or this.
Yeah.
It's always a bird.
It was just an owl.
Okay.
That glows in the dark, has arms with claws on the end.
Is bulletproof.
And they're bulletproof. Most owls are bulletproof.
Yeah.
So that part doesn't surprise me. The thing that surprises me is the glow in the dark owls. Come on. Like, I know, dude, you don't want to believe in it.
Yeah.
Then just say you don't believe in it.
You'd say, I think you're lying.
Don't come up with some stupid thing like an owl. For one thing, owls don't attack people. Like, why in the world would an owl keep looking through your windows at night? It doesn't happen.
If the story was like, in the moonlight, I saw this creature and I shot at it and missed and it ran off. It's like, okay, could have been an owl. Sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, we shot this thing like 10 different times and we saw it like fall down and then run off.
Yeah.
And it didn't die.
Stupid. I just can't stand stuff like that
either. Like, just say, I think you're lying. Don't say it was an owl.
And some people were like, they were all drunk.
Yeah.
So there's this special type of alcohol that you can drink. If you're with a group of 10 or more people and you drink this alcohol, you hallucinate.
You all see the same thing.
And you all see the same thing. Doesn't matter what it is.
Actually, and we could do an episode on this. Have you heard of the like DMT group hallucination stories?
I think that there's something
supernatural.
Yeah. Because, rabbit trail. Because this does kind of tie in. My whole point about the alcohol was people accused them of all being drunk.
They didn't.
She didn't allow alcohol in her house.
Oh, yeah.
So she was a teetotaler. She wouldn't allow alcohol in her house. They weren't drunk.
And they probably weren't doing DMT.
No. And the cops checked for alcohol and they couldn't find any.
Yeah.
But the DMT thing, is that ayahuasca?
Don't know.
No, ayahuasca's ayahuasca.
I don't know much about
Or is DMT in ayahuasca? I don't know because I don't do drugs.
I just know Joe Rogan has some weird stories about it.
He does. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to a different podcast where they were talking about these ayahuasca trips. Mm-hmm. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad for you. Mm-hmm. Dangerous too. But it doesn't matter who you are. They all describe meeting this certain entity.
Like the same one?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And, no one had ever talked to both of these people. These are two independent people that went on these trips, mm-hmm. and they described seeing this entity. Mm-hmm. Now, this is my personal thoughts on that matter. I think when you let that gate down of your consciousness mm-hmm. with drugs, you go or are open to certain entities that you should not mess with.
Yeah. Certain dimensions are thin, like the wall the barrier is thinner or something.
Don't let your guard down like that. Mm-hmm. Don't chemically stunt your brain, your defenses, and allow crud like that in.
Yeah, it's similar to how we've talked about before with like little kids being more susceptible mm-hmm. to like spirits or entities.
Exactly.
Because their brain is developing differently mm-hmm. than an adult. And I think it's the same. This is just a theory.
Yeah.
There's no sign. I'm not backing this with anything scientific.
No, this is ironclad.
But I think it could be the same thing where these certain types of drugs can alter your brain mm-hmm. or something to open you up to that.
Yeah, because it's like when you're a kid, I can't remember what the waves are called, alpha or whatever, Bravo, Charlie. I don't know. Your brain waves are hitting at a specific frequency. Mm-hmm. The older you get, the frequency changes. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you sleep, your brain waves are different than when you're awake. Mm-hmm. They're different when you're a child. And they're different when you're on these crazy hallucinogen.
Yeah.
Is that what they are? Hallucinogens or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, being asleep, your brain works differently. Mm-hmm. I have a story.
Okay.
And have I told this on the podcast about Grandpa?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, my great grandpa, mm-hmm. he passed away. It was before COVID, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit before.
But before he had passed, we were living with him mm-hmm. In kind of like a
duplex.
And he wasn't like he was definitely at, towards the end of his life, but mm-hmm. he was still able to walk around and make himself food and mm-hmm. carry a conversation. And his speech wasn't like horrible, but it was kind of slower and a little slurred.
Yeah.
You could still talk to him.
And he was having memory problems and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My room was right across from his door that led into his house. And I remember waking up at like the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. And I hear some clanging. And I hear Mom go into his house.
Yeah.
And I remember this so clearly. She was like, "Hey, Grandpa, what are you doing?" And he, like clear as day, was just like, "Oh, I'm making breakfast, getting up for the day." And she was like, "Well, Grandpa, it's the middle of the night." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And Mom goes, "Yeah, Grandpa, I think you're asleep." And he's like, "Oh, well, I should probably get back to bed then." And she kind of, I think, helps him, go back to bed. Mm-hmm. But no slur.
Nope.
No hesitation. It was the clearest I think I'd ever heard him talk in my life. Mm-hmm. Just completely lucid. I mean, obviously he was asleep.
Right, but he seemed more awake than when he was awake.
So, sharp.
Yeah.
It was one of the weirdest, experiences I've had.
It was really strange. I remember that night. Mm-hmm. I was standing in the kitchen. I didn't go up with her.
But you heard it too?
Because I didn't want to be like another person in the room. So I was listening. And she's like, "What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I'm making breakfast." Mm-hmm. "Grandpa, it's the middle of the night. Why are you making breakfast?" "Well, I don't know." And he didn't he didn't talk like that when he was awake.
Yeah. It was
like you said, it was slurred. It was slow. He would have to think about it. But because he was in this dream state,
it was so clear.
He was operating at peak potential for some reason. Yeah.
Kind of a side tangent.
Side tangent.
I love telling that story because it's just your brain can work differently in different states. And it was so weird.
Well, we know that the people, this family in Hopkinsville was not operating in their sleep.
I'll just say this.
They were all awake.
They were not under the influence of anything.
No.
They were awake.
There was 11 of them. Their story never changed, even though some of them had different recollections of what it looked like and whatever. Pretty legit. I'm going to go with this happened.
Me too, yeah.
But I want to know why.
And like, what was it?
If Billy Ray says he saw a UFO crash. Oh, by the way, one of the cops, when he was on the way to their house, said he saw 2 meteors that flew away from the farm.
Oh, okay.
And they made a whistling sound like artillery.
Yeah.
But apparently there was a meteor shower around that time.
Oh, really?
Okay. But what great cover to be landing a UFO than in the middle of a meteor shower. I think it happened.
Yeah, but what was it?
Well, I mean, I've talked about this before.
I was going to say, if you've listened to our other UFO episodes, you know what we think aliens are.
Right. I don't think we need to delve into it.
Yeah. What
we think they are even more. What I want to know is there's this pattern, and I've talked about this pattern before, and it's like they're beta testing what works best. And you have, I feel like the crash at Roswell was the flashpoint of when the alien thing really started to take off. It was like, this is going to be our grand entrance. Then you have like Flatwoods, you have Hopkinsville, you have Carl Higdon. But before Carl Higdon, you even have the Mothman prophecies, which I think we've already talked a little bit about this, but the Mothman incidents happened over several years. And the craziest thing about the Mothman prophecies is Mothman was only seen a handful of times.
Yeah.
The rest of the weird stuff was alien stuff.
Men in Black, alien.
UFOs. Men in Black coming to your house, talking weird, showing up places, super tall, super short, wearing crazy uniforms.
Having a wire sticking out of your clothes.
Their skin color's weird. All of this weird stuff. And people saw a flying man only a handful of times. But that's the one that really kind of exploded. But it was actually a very small part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
And that happened in the 60s. And then you have the Barney and Betty Hill. You have Travis Walton. You have all of these big UFO, alien, cryptid type things. And it's like they're refining what's the most terrifying thing.
Yeah.
And it's like they landed on gray aliens, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, I feel like this activity peaked in like the 1900s.
Yeah.
Let's say 1950 to like 1999.
Yeah.
Why don't we get as many? I mean, it still happens.
Yeah.
You still hear stories about it happening today, but I feel like in the age of, and I know all these things weren't on video, but in the age of like CGI and now generative AI today, it's almost like,
who cares?
Well, first of all, it's like, well, if you don't have video of it, I don't believe you.
Right.
And now it's, if you do have video of it, I still don't believe you because it's fake.
Yep.
So it's almost like people don't even try to report stuff anymore. And like I said, I know that there are still sightings and stuff today, but it just feels like it wasn't as big as it was back then because it was, I don't know, newer.
Yeah. You make a really good point. Because let's say I'm the quote unquote alien. And this is the world we live in today where I can type into ChatGPT, make me a picture of this or make a video of that. And it's extremely convincing. Well, I have to change my strategy now because there's so much slop out there. How can you tell? What would be their next strategy? They have to change now.
Maybe they created AI so we wouldn't be able to tell what's real and what's not.
Bro.
So AI is made by aliens.
Bro. It is pretty weird. Maybe it's mission accomplished.
Oh, yeah, since there's less activity now.
Maybe they've convinced humanity that there is races of aliens like the Nordics, the mantis, the reptilians, the grays. There's all coming from different planets.
I feel like we need to do an episode on this about things our own government, the U.S. government, has released and said about aliens, because I think that it's so weird that people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
If I was a kid, I was a kid. When I was a kid.
You're still a kid.
And a time traveler, me from the future, said, hey, in the future, the government is going to like release footage of UFOs and say the aliens are real.
Yeah.
I would have been like, what?
No, they're not.
That's like the craziest news ever. People are going to be talking about that for years.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Right. If it was 1990 and what came out now came out, it would have turned the world on its head.
Why does no one care? And this happened recently. I don't know much about it, so take my words with a grain of salt. But didn't our government just confirm that there's like 4 different races of aliens?
They very well could have, because they just dropped a huge document dump.
This could have just been misinformation I saw, but I think that part of that was like, there's the grays, I think you said the Nordics.
The
Is
Nordics.
that like the elf, the white-haired elf?
Yeah, they
ones?
look kind of like Legolas.
And then there's like the reptiles, and then there was another one I can't remember.
There's
the
grays.
insectoid.
Well, I think those are like the mantis.
Yeah, the insectoids, the reptiles, the Nordics, and the grays. What?
And they're all from different
Like,
planets, and they know more than you.
What do you mean? Like, how? If this is true and our government did confirm that, I'm like, okay, have you talked to them?
So how do we kill them?
Like, what do you mean this is something our government is saying? Like, how? It just blows my mind how this isn't.
Yeah.
No one cares.
And I think, you know what else is a huge indicator that no one cares?
What?
Steven Spielberg just came out with the movie Disappointment Day.
Was it bad? I haven't heard anything
People
about
are very disappointed.
Really?
Because it was hyped up as, it's not Disappointment Day, it's Disclosure Day.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke.
I was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But it was hyped up as even like, if you're a Christian, this is going to change your faith.
It's going to blow your mind out.
And I'm like,
what you believe. Yeah.
Sure, Steven. You don't know us. You don't know what we talk about on this podcast.
I still kind of want to see it, even though I know it got bad reviews. I don't know.
I saw the trailer and I was like, this is dumb. Turns out it was dumb.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. I can't pass final judgment on it, but I will see it at some point. I keep wanting to say disappointment. Disclosure Day came out and it kind of flopped.
Yeah.
Because people are like, yeah, I just watched this on Ancient Aliens. It's like, we've been inundated. I think we're completely numb to the whole UFO alien thing. And I think that might actually be the goal.
Yeah. I mean, like, going forward, is the president one day just going to be like, we are in contact with an extraterrestrial faction of aliens who have agreed to, be peaceful with us? Like, is that going to happen one day?
I bet it will. I don't know if I'll be alive when it happens, but I think that's eventually the only thing that will snap people out of it and be like, whoa. Like they'll quit doom scrolling and look up and go, wait a minute. So this really is real? Like that's the alien right there?
Yeah.
I think eventually that might happen.
I think there's going to be like 3 groups of people when that happens. One will just be like 100% believe whatever, the government says. These are aliens. They want to be peaceful with us. You have people who think it's completely fake. And then you'll have people who are like, let's kill them. These are demons.
Which camp do you think that I fit?
These are demons. I need a Bible and a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we've been conditioned for so long, all of humanity, that you can do a document dump that says these are declassified aliens, these races exist. And people are like, yeah, I've heard that on the Discovery Channel.
It's just so weird. And sorry if I'm getting off on a tangent, but I watched this video recently where it was like, you know, the subway of New York. And it's just all these people in crazy costumes, like alien makeup and, you know, New York things, just crazy people. But I'm like, what would it take for people to believe? Because if, you know, the government televises, you know, they bring an alien out on stage. Is anyone really going to believe that?
There will be people that will never believe it.
What would it take? Would it have to be like, okay, here's their spaceship and their spaceship comes into orbit? Is that, I feel like that's the, like you have to see it with your own eyes. Anything you see on the news or anything you see on video, I feel like people are just going to be like, no, it's not real.
Yeah.
You have to see a spaceship come and land in your city.
Yeah.
For you to actually believe, you know?
Yeah. And I think this is where we start to bridge the paranormal with conspiracy. Because there's a large group of people that believe that we've already made contact, that we made contact a long time ago. I don't know if it was Eisenhower or whatever. But that we are already in contact with alien civilizations and they're helping us, like guiding us. And they can't tell the population yet because we would just go berserk and try to kill them all.
Yeah.
And in return, those aliens would just obliterate our planet.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if we take a step back, let's say, for the sake of discussion, our government is in contact with what they believe to be extraterrestrials. I think that those beings or entities are deceitful, and I think they are in some form a demonic force.
I agree.
That wants to control information and fear. They don't want anything good.
Well, they don't like you.
Yeah, they don't like you.
They may act like they like you, but they actually don't.
As cool as it would be for there to be another highly intelligent race of aliens. I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like Metroid. I like
Star Trek.
Sci-fi. It would be cool if there were other races.
Yeah.
From what I believe, I don't think there are. You could make the argument there's other plants and animals on other planets. I think that's possible. But as far as another humanoid race from another planet, I don't think that exists.
No.
So anything that comes to you claiming to be that,
I think they're wolves in humanoid clothing is what they are. I would encourage everyone to read the book Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock.
I still need to read that.
It's a super long book, but when you read that book, you're going to realize that what is happening now with aliens, and some people say they're helping us with technology and stuff. That is not a new thing.
Yep.
This has happened throughout ancient history. If you read that book, you're going to find stuff like the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids in South America. All of these things were so complicated, we couldn't hardly build them now.
Potentially the Tower of Babel.
Yeah. They were built with materials that were from different continents when we supposedly didn't have international trade or know how to sail. Like, I'm not going to go deep into it.
Yeah.
But this isn't new. There's always suddenly this culture comes up out of nowhere, or they're struggling, and an entity comes across the sea and teaches them art, metallurgy, and then society explodes.
Yeah.
And then they get destroyed. And it's kind of this pattern where these beings come and they teach them all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually these beings start to get worshiped. And eventually these beings require sacrifice, like children,
Yeah.
Aztecs, Incas,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Baal,
Yeah.
where people were sacrificing their babies.
Mm-hmm.
It always ends bad because they're not who they say they are.
Yeah. And this should be my catchphrase for the show, but we need to do an episode on this.
Mm-hmm.
Greek mythology ties in perfectly with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, how cool would it be if Greek mythology was by and large true?
Yeah.
But it just wasn't what we think it was.
Greek, Egyptian,
Yeah.
like,
Any culture that has a pantheon of gods.
yeah. Ancient history is way crazier than people
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that book, there's other books too that I could recommend, but Graham Hancock is so good at just listing all of these crazy places around the world that used to be amazing civilizations.
Yeah.
And then poof, they're dead.
I need to read that book.
Oh,
We kind of got off topic today.
we did, but it was fun.
It was fun.
Is it really off topic if we're talking about aliens and stuff?
Not really. I don't think so.
I think it all ties together.
Yeah.
But the Hopkinsville Goblins, I think it's legit. I think it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And how terrifying that would have been. And how terrifying to be shooting something over and over and nothing happens to it.
Yeah.
But if you've ever been attacked in your rural house while you're having dinner by goblins and they're bulletproof, we want to hear about it. So send your stories to sincerelysupernatural@gmail.com and we will read them on the show. Well, Hudson,
Yeah.
this week I'm not doing finger guns
Why?
because they used shotguns and 22s.
Okay. So we have to.
So here's what I'm going to do. Die, you alien. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
All right. See you next time.